Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of RotoBaller Radio, right here on RotoBaller's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you as we preview the NFC Wild Card weekend games. Guys, don't forget, head over to RotoBaller.com and check out everything there. The main page, the premium package, expert chats, RotoBaller.com has it for whatever sport you need. Baseball, basketball, football, MMA, esports, NASCAR, you name it, RotoBaller.com has you covered. Whether it's DFS or season-long formats, RotoBaller.com is the place to be. And don't forget, sign up for any of our premium packages using the promotional code ACES and save yourself just a little bit of money by telling them that Anthony Aniano sent you. All right, guys. Excited to be here. We're on the verge of Wild Card weekend. Hopefully you've already watched the AFC preview video. If you didn't, go back and make sure you check that out, as this video is going to focus on the three NFC matchups, and we're going to start with the Sunday at 4:40 game. The number 2 seeded New Orleans Saints sitting at 12-4 against the 7-seeded Chicago Bears, who make the playoffs with a record of 8-8. Current line on DraftKings Sportsbook has New Orleans by 9.5 and has the over-under sitting at 47.5. Now, a lot of questions about the Saints. Do we see Alvin Kamara? Do we see Michael Thomas? Okay, those are the two big question marks hanging over the Saints as they go against the Bear defense that's allowed 23 points per game on the season, but has allowed 26.3 points per game over the last 3. Now, the Bears have allowed 28 passing touchdowns and only 11 rushing touchdowns on the year. However, where they have given up points, they've given up a ton of points to opposing tight ends. If you're setting a DFS lineup, take a look this week at Jared Cook against this Bears defense. Now, Jared Cook averages about 8.5 PPR points per game, but this Bears defense allows 15.8 points per game to opposing tight ends. They've allowed 12 touchdowns to opposing tight ends. And if Michael Thomas is limited, if Alvin Kamara is limited, or if they're not even playing, it's a great matchup for Jared Cook to be in your DFS lineups. He's my one play for this New Orleans team that I genuinely love against this Bears defense. Now, as far as the Bears go, guys, don't underestimate this Saints defense. The Saints have allowed less points per game on the season, only 21 compared to the Bears. They've allowed less points per game over the last 3, 24, over the last 3 games compared to the Bears. Now, Mitch Trubisky's played well down the stretch, struggled in the finale. This Bears offense comes down to David Montgomery and his resurgence of late. They have to be able to run the ball against this Saints defense. Now, on the season, the Saints have only allowed 94 yards rushing per game. They've allowed 114 yards rushing per game over the last 3. But here's a number that is very impressive. The Saints have only allowed 11 total touchdowns to opposing running backs. 9 rushing and 2 receiving. Tough matchup for Montgomery, and he's really become the key to this Chicago defense. Makes me question whether Chicago will be able to put up enough points to defeat the New Orleans Saints. Through the air, the Saints defense has allowed only 217 passing yards per game. Now, they have allowed 28 passing touchdowns, 17 of them to opposing wide receivers. Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney should be effective to some extent, but without Montgomery maybe being able to run the ball against this Saints stout run defense, it could be a tough matchup for this Chicago offense. All right, so we take a look at these overall numbers and understand this Bears defense is just as tough. Only 113 rushing yards a game, only about 230 passing yards per game. Now, if Kamara and Michael Thomas play, here's the catch, and this is what makes this tricky. If New Orleans offense is at full strength, it's a different ballgame. I think the Saints win this game easily and cover this 9.5 point spread. But I'm operating sitting here today with no word that they'll be out there. Michael Thomas limited at practice. Alvin Kamara dealing with COVID issues. So without them on the field, I will take the Saints to win, but I say the Bears cover the spread. Over-under sits at 47.5. I am taking the under on this. Give me a score of about 24-18. Okay, it's a low-scoring game. Saints with the victory, but they only win by 6. 24-18. Let me do some quick addition. That's 34-44 minus 2. That's a 42-point spread over-under. I'm going to take the under, and I'm going to take the Saints to win this. DFS-wise, I don't love a lot about this game, though, other than Jared Cook. Okay, too many injuries on the Saints side. Bears defense, just too tough a matchup against that Saints defense. All right, let's take a look now. Saturday, 4:40, the number 3 seed Seattle Seahawks sitting at 12-4 against the number 6 seeded Los Angeles Rams sitting at 10-6. And again, question marks abound. It looks like Cooper Kupp will be active for the Rams, but we don't know the status of Jared Goff just yet. Now, some quick look at the numbers, and this is interesting when you look at how these offenses and defenses have changed. Seattle on the season averaged just under 29 points per game. However, over their last 3, that offense has gone backwards. They've only averaged 22. Okay? However, defensively, Seattle early in the year gave up points. They finished the year averaging 23.2 points per allowed. That defense has been stout the last couple of weeks, though, only allowing 15.7 points per game over the last 3. Now, the Rams, same situation. On the season, averaged 23 points per game. Over the last 3, they're averaging under 16 points per game. But that Rams defense remains terrific. 18.5 points per game allowed on the year and under 17 points per game allowed over the last 3. Now, when you have an over-under of 43, that number is very low. You're talking about, if you're taking the under, you're talking about a 21-20, 21-15 type of finish. Okay, I want to say it's going to be a low-scoring game, but they set that over-under so low that I'm going to take the over of 43. Give me 24-20. I'm picking Seattle to win. The DraftKings Sportsbook has the line at 4.5. If I'm saying 24-20 Seattle, okay, I don't think they cover the spread. It's going to be a low-scoring game, but not low enough to not hit that 43 total. All right? Now, as far as the offenses and defenses go, it's a situation. We've seen DK Metcalf struggle against the Rams secondary. Okay, Tyler Lockett, a quiet 100 reception season by him. Okay, but keep in mind, the Rams have allowed only 7 touchdowns all year to opposing wide receivers. Brutal matchup for Lockett and Metcalf. The Rams defense has only allowed 21 touchdowns to quarterbacks. Only 17 of them passing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks. Tough matchup for Russell Wilson. The Rams defense only allows 191 passing yards per game. Only allows 186 passing yards per game over the last 3. Brutal matchup for Russell Wilson. Okay, the Rams defense only allows 91 yards rushing a game and only allows 79 rushing yards a game over the last 3. It's a tough matchup for all you. You avoid Seattle in your DFS matchups. I don't like it for Wilson. I don't like it for Carson or the Seattle wide receivers. They'll put up enough points to win, but it's going to be low. Okay, 20 to 24 points. Like I said, I'm taking the over. If you want to disagree and take the under, I totally understand it. Now, as far as the Rams go, it's a situation to avoid as well because of the status of Jared Goff. The quarterback situation is a mess right now with the Rams. That affects Robert Woods. It affects Cooper Kupp. Now, Cam Akers could be in a spot to do some damage against this Seattle rush defense. They have allowed 18 touchdowns to running backs this year. 13 rushing touchdowns, 5 receiving touchdowns. They don't give up a ton of yardage. Only 96 rushing yards per game, but you can score on the ground against Seattle. So Cam Akers in a situation where if he gets near the goal line, should be able to get in. The question is, without Jared Goff, will the Rams be able to get near the goal line? The Rams, in my opinion, have not looked good of late. They lost to the Jets, okay? With a backup quarterback, they struggled but pulled out the victory against Arizona. If the Rams have any chance to win this game, it is going to be their defense putting in a yeoman's effort. I'm talking keeping Seattle to 10 or 13 points. And although it's possible, I just think Russell Wilson is too good to be that limited this week. Okay, like I said, I'm going to take the over by a hair. I'm going to take Seattle to win this game. And the final matchup of the weekend, of Saturday, I should say, from the NFC, the Tampa Bay Bucks against the Washington football team. Washington sitting at 7-9, getting in as the 4 seed. Tampa at 11-5 is the 5 seed. Tampa favored by 8, over under at 45.5. I'm taking the over, and I am taking Tampa to cover this. I expect this game to be a blowout for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and it comes down to one thing for me. This Washington offense is just not good enough to keep up with Tampa Bay. Okay, Alex Smith, Antonio Gibson's been a bit disappointing. It's McLaurin, it's McKissick, Logan Thomas, some nice pieces, just not explosive enough to beat this Tampa offense where Tom Brady has 43 touchdown passes. Mike Evans has a chance to play. Godwin, Antonio Brown's played well. Ronald Jones is getting healthier and healthier. On the season, Washington has averaged about 21 points per game offensively. Over the last 3, only 16. Now, defensively, we know how tough Washington is. They've allowed 20.6 points per game. Over the last 3, they've only allowed 18. But when you're playing the Giants and you're playing the Eagles, who don't even want to win, okay, and you're playing a struggling Dallas team, okay, those are 6 games with poor offenses. Let's just call it what it is. So it's a situation where maybe Washington's numbers are a little bit skewed. I like the Washington defense. It's very, very good. It's not good enough, though, to, in my opinion, stop this Tampa offense. A Tampa offense that has averaged 31 points per game on the season and just under 41 points per game over the last 3. That Tampa offense is that much better than Washington's offense. We're talking about 10 more points per game on the year, okay? And 24 more points per game over the last 3. Yet defensively, they're very similar. Washington allowing 20.6 points a game, like I mentioned. Tampa only allowing 22. Over the last 3, Washington allowing 18, Tampa only allowing 20. When you're defensive equals, but one team is that much better offensively, I've got to lean to the team with that much a better an offense. Okay, a Washington football team allows 113 rushing yards per game, only 192 passing yards. But Washington has allowed 21 passing touchdowns, 10 to wide receivers, 7 to tight ends. The Tampa defense has allowed 29 passing touchdowns, 17 to wide receivers. McLaurin should do well this week. I'm not afraid of him. Logan Thomas will be a steady play. Okay, Tampa allows 14 points per game and 9 touchdowns to opposing tight ends. I just think that this Tampa offense is rolling along too well right now. Antonio Brown, Godwin, Evans, if he plays, even Gronkowski could be in the mix. Washington has allowed 7 touchdowns to tight ends this season. I'm going to call this 30 to 18 for Tampa. Tampa puts up their point total. That's a 48-point total. They cover the over-under of 45.5, and obviously they cover the spread of Tampa favored by 8. All right, everybody, don't forget, head over to RotoBaller.com and check out everything there. Make sure you check out also right here on the RotoBaller YouTube channel, the AFC Wild Card Weekend Preview Show. And we'll see you next week right here on RotoBaller Radio. Follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Aniano Fantasy. Enjoy the games this weekend, everybody. Have a good one, folks.